happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Miss Kennedy, would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What is
Shaken, not stirred.
Hold on. I'm not hearing it right. Hold on. We got it now.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, everybody out there in movie land. Happy hour. I want the chat to let me know if my microphone is loud enough. We had to adjust it earlier for when we did the live reaction to the Oscar nominations. So if I'm too low, just let me know. And if I'm too loud, please let me know as well. So we have a lot to discuss, and I have a great guest. So I'm really excited. He will be on around 5, and he is a friend of mine from college who is a filmmaker, and I'm really excited to discuss the Oscars and his films and the whole movie chat shebang. So without further ado, I'm going to get to the chat a little bit, and I'll probably put a poll up to it, like talking about the Oscar stuff, but for right now, we'll just get to the chat and then we can discuss all the excitement and snubs and all that stuff. The View with Drew. Hey, everyone, what's up? And again, since there's more people now, let me know if I'm too quiet or too loud because I had to do some mic adjustments earlier. Drew, so nice for you to join us today. Everyone saying hi. Maxfield, hello, of course. Luke, how's it going? I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm actually I am sick, but I'm powering through for this live stream. Max and I are both sick, actually, but we're really just really tired. That's really what the main thing is. So hopefully we'll get over it soon, but hope you're doing well, Luke. They're all saying hi. Dimension Scott, nice to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us. The View with Drew. Well, happy birthday to your mom. That's awesome. Does that mean she's an Aquarius? I feel like that's maybe not yet. No, Aquarius is in a couple weeks, I think, but neither here nor there. Cinema Lover 2009. Thank you so much for stopping by. I would also love to hear people's opinions too of when we go over some of the nominations today, because it was a wild ride. Wild ride. Hello, Laren. How's it going? Thank you so much for letting me know my audio is good. That's fantastic. Sliptic Garçon made it live again. Hooray for notifications. Mic level is fine for me, by the way. Well, fantastic. Lovely to hear. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad that the mic is sounding good today. So awesome. We have Peggy. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. And so yeah, let's get this shown up. David, thank you so much. Cool. So I'm gonna get the Oscar nominations up, and we're gonna discuss a little bit because there's a little bit of drama, I'd say, going on. I mean, drama that doesn't really I care that much about, but I think that a lot of people do care. I'm pretty much happy with a lot of the nominations, except for a little bit of lackluster vibes for Past Lives, which I don't really understand. But it's a tough year. It's a good year. We got our little Cillian Murphy up here. Where is the list? Vanity Fair. Here we are. Okay, so let's start with we'll just start with Best Picture. This is kind of like the obvious choice, I feel like, all these 10 that would be nominated. I was kind of hoping that Across the Spider-Verse would make it. But I don't, and The Color Purple really didn't get much either this year at all. So the one big snub, I think, and it's just because of when it came out, was Ironclaw. If Ironclaw had come out a few weeks earlier, I think we would have seen that on this list. I also know people that are critics said that that they didn't receive any early screenings, or the early screenings that they received were much later than everyone else, and they couldn't even vote for it in a lot of other awards ballots. So the fact that Ironclaw is not here is really sad, but I'm also not surprised. American Fiction, oh my goodness. No, thank you. I do not. Oh, it says Vanity Fair Cocktail Hour. Wow. The internet is really they listen to everything we do. I really think so. American Fiction is fantastic. Happy to see it here. Anatomy of a Fall, fantastic. Barbie, I that's my least favorite out of all these movies, but I'm not surprised it's here. Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. And out of all of these, I still have not seen The Zone of Interest, but The Zone of Interest is finally getting a wide release, I believe, next week, 2 weeks, somewhere around there. Definitely before the Oscars. So if there's been a lot of buzz about The Zone of Interest, and Jonathan Glazer is also, he's on the list for Best Director. So if you are looking to check out that film, you should be able to pretty soon, because a lot of people have not seen it, and the people that have seen it have loved it and raved about it. So yeah, not too much drama there. Best Director, this is where things get a little interesting. So, Jonathan Glazer getting for The Zone of Interest, that's pretty awesome. I think that's really dope. Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things. Poor Things, I think, is my second favorite film of the year. Nolan for Oppenheimer, not surprised. Nolan's going to win this one when it comes to Oscar Day. I would be shocked if he didn't. Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon. I was a little surprised. I thought he did a great job with that film, but I'm kind of surprised that he got a nomination. He did break the record today, I believe, for the longest, or the still living, what is it? The most directorial nominations for a director that's still living today. So good for him. We all love Marty. So, and then Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, which I'm very happy about. So we have it's interesting. We've got 2 foreign films that are, two of the directors are being recognized here in the nominations, and I think that's pretty awesome. The biggest snub, I think you can all see it, is Greta Gerwig is not here for Barbie. Now, I feel like if I was going to nominate Barbie for anything, it would have been Best Director, it wouldn't have been Best Picture, and it would not have been Best Screenplay. And it wouldn't have been for Best Actress. I think that the commanding of the ship that Greta Gerwig did for that, whether you like it or you don't, I think that kind of deserves a nomination. So I was kind of surprised. I could care less, really, at the end of the day, if she's nominated for Best Director for this movie, because of how I feel about it. But it's not Greta Gerwig's first time at the rodeo, and it's not her last. So now we move on to Best Actress, where there's still more drama about Barbie. First of all, this is the worst right here. Annette Bening for Nyad. I love Annette Bening, but come on, people. No one cares about this movie. And the fact that she's nominated, and she's just going to lose again. It's kind of getting sad at this point. She should have won for my favorite, oh my God, American Beauty. That was the year she should have won. In my opinion, and among many other, performances that she's just fantastic in. So I just can't stand this, and I think that Greta Lee definitely should have gotten a nomination. I mean, come on, people! This is one of the best films, if not the best film of the year, and it's all on Greta Lee, really. As far as the acting goes, I mean, all 3 of them are fantastic, but you see it through Greta Lee's eyes and her perspective. And I think the fact that she got snubbed is horrendous to me. Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, she did not get nominated for the BAFTA, and that kind of freaked everyone out. I was pretty positive she would still get a nomination here. Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, love that. Carey Mulligan, Maestro, I mean, she was fantastic in it. She's a really, really, really talented actress. And then Emma Stone for Poor Things. So for me, I'm still rooting for Emma Stone for Poor Things. I'm not going to be upset if Lily Gladstone wins, but I just feel like Emma Stone carries the entire film of Poor Things. And Lily Gladstone really is a supporting actress of that movie. So, I mean, she's a tour de force in that film, but the whole movie doesn't really rely on her solely, whereas it really does for Poor Things with Emma Stone. So I'm going to go to the actually, no, I'll briefly just talk about Best Actor because there's really no surprises here, and then we'll go to the chat. So Best Actor. So we have Bradley Cooper in Maestro. I'm not really surprised there. Coleman Domingo, I am kind of surprised just because, not that he wasn't amazing. Like, he's really good in Rustin and he's really good in The Color Purple. And he's just like such an incredible actor in general. But from what I've heard from people that have, I think they all saw it at TIFF, the film Sing Sing, which is going to be coming out next year. Everyone's saying like that's his win right there next year. But good for him. I'm not upset about this. And then, you know, Paul Giamatti, who I really want to win. If Cillian Murphy wins, I'm not going to be sad. Again, it's kind of like the Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone thing for me. If Cillian Murphy wins, I'm not going to be upset. But I really, really, really want Paul Giamatti to win for The Holdovers. And then Jeffrey Wright was fantastic in American Fiction. He's just not going to win, but he was really wonderful. I think Jeffrey Wright is absolutely going to win an Oscar one day. I just don't think it's going to be for something like American Fiction. Just because, I mean, he does have a lot of range in it, but it's not like one of those big Oscar performances that I feel like the Academy likes to give awards to. So, yeah, no really big snubs as far as I can see. Again, Iron Claw, we could have had a Zac Efron here if A20, is it A24? Yeah, it is A24. If A24 had pushed it a little bit. I'm really surprised. They could have just been pushing for both Past Lives and the Iron Claw, but they chose to just put all their eggs into you know, the Past Lives train, which I'm happy with, of course, because I love that movie. But I don't know. My guest last week, Becca, who is a critic, she said that you know, A24 and Neon have the same problem where they'll champion one movie only and just push that for award season, and when they actually have quite a few other choices that they could as well, you know, push for nominations. But neither here nor there. Let's get back to the chat. I guess I'll stop. No, I'll just keep sharing. I'll stop sharing for right now. Unless you, yeah, I'll stop it right now, and then I'll bring it back on. So we have here, oh my goodness, the chat is popping off today. Happy to see all of you. Afternoon all. Anything in the nominations that surprised you? Yes, quite a bit. I did just speak about some of them. I know that you probably, I think you asked this question right as soon as I started talking about them. So there's a few other surprises we're going to get into. But yeah, I think did I talk about Best Actress? Oh yeah, sorry. There's actually one other thing I wanted to say about Best Actress is I'm not surprised that Margot Robbie didn't get a nomination. I don't understand why people felt that she deserved a nomination for that. Again, I get why people think Greta Gerwig should have gotten nominated for Best Director. I don't understand why people were really championing Margot Robbie for that role. I don't think it was a stretch for her. I think she was phenomenal in like I, Tonya and things like that. Come on. Like that was a joke to me to even consider her in she did a great job. It's not an Oscar performance. Leonardo DiCaprio not being nominated for Best Actor is a big snub. It is, but I'm not surprised. He was good, as always. I mean, he's always good. But I just feel like if we look at these other, see, I should have just kept this sharing the whole time so I could reference it. I'll just I'll bring it back up. I just feel like out of these, I mean, maybe he would have taken the Coleman Domingo spot, but I don't know. Again, Coleman Domingo does, you know, command the whole film just like Emma Stone does in Poor Things, and like Leo is the lead male, you know, in Killers of the Flower Moon, but yeah, that was kind of up in the air. Well, I think he didn't get nominated for the BAFTAs, and I think he didn't get nominated for SAG. And I think when that happened, that's when I was kind of like, okay, Leonardo DiCaprio is not getting nominated. Don't quote me on that, but I know he definitely didn't get nominated for one of those. So, but yeah, he was, you know, he was originally a front runner, I would say. So I do agree with you that it could be considered quite surprising. Okay, we have got Sammy G's World of Cinema in the house. Hello, how are you doing today? Happy that you're here. Update from last stream. All the Strangers was absolutely wonderful and just might be in my top 100. Top 10? Top 100? I'm going to assume you said top 10. Sad it didn't get nominated at all. Yeah, that's It's really a shame, and I've heard nothing but really good things. And that's like the prime example, though, of like Iron Claw, All of Us Strangers, Color Purple, and there's one more too that I think was potentially going to get some nominations. Oh yeah, like Origin, that like just came out in theaters. Like all of these films that were potentially, earlier on in the year, ones that we thought would potentially get Oscar nominations, they just didn't because they came out too late and critics didn't even get to see them, or Academy members didn't get to see them. So it's difficult for people to vote for those. I should be seeing All of Us Strangers at the weekend. Looks great. Also, that new film Perfect Days from Wim Wenders looks excellent. It does, and the story behind that movie is crazy. I learned this from Cinematech, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but right before the world changed, the Olympics were supposed to be in Japan, and when they were getting ready, they kind of, I guess, renovated, or like they put all these brand new high-tech futuristic toilets around the city, and they wanted to like it to be really impressive. But then the Olympics got super delayed, and they were like, well, what do we do with this? Like, as a country, they were like, well, we should get like a filmmaker to make a movie that has something to do with this. So they hired Wim Wenders, and they had him direct this movie about a guy, and that's his like job, I think, is to like fix them, all these like fancy toilets or like high-tech toilets. But I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's like incredible, and it's just so funny that like they've decided to hire him to just make a movie about that. So yeah, I'll be checking out Perfect Days for sure. Delon Movies, what's up? Hello. KKKKK. Let's see here. Yeah, main leads. Yeah, everyone's talking about All of Us Strangers. First thing on Twitter when I woke up was Best Actress lineup, and I audibly shouted at Annette Bening. I know we are not happy about this. We're so not happy about this. Oh my god, I know. And it's not good. It's just I don't understand. What's good, NFG? Hello, D. Marcel. Thank you so much for joining us today. Laren, I watched American Beauty last week. Good, because it's incredible. I love that movie so much. It's definitely my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Cinema Lover 2009, Priscilla not being nominated for Best Makeup Hairstyling is insane. That is actually insane. I didn't even think about that. That is a really great thing you pointed out. And, and that's another actress that could have gotten a nomination. Like, I don't care that Margot Robbie didn't get nominated. I care that Greta Lee didn't get nominated. I really do. But Kaylee Spaney could have gotten nominated for Best Actress too, for Priscilla. But we have Naiad. The year of Naiad. What a uneventful nomination. Okay, so we're gonna get back here, and we're gonna talk about the Best Supporting Actresses. It's Divine Joy Randolph's to win. At this point, Emily Blunt loved it. Danielle Brooks was great in The Color Purple. I think, is that the only nomination for The Color Purple? I feel like it is. Danielle Brooks was fantastic in it. America Ferrera, Barbie. So this was a big surprise as well. I'm kind of just neutral on it. I really am. I'm not like for it or against it at this point. She was fine. I don't think that is an awards. I don't think it's an Oscar performance. I just really don't. But I feel like the Best Supporting Actress category this year is kind of weak. It's been like that a couple of times. Like last year was really crowded, and then they wound up giving it to Jamie Lee Curtis, and we all know how that went. This year it's kind of like it really doesn't matter. It's Divine Joy Randolph's, and she was incredible. I mean, if I was going to pick another one personally, I would say, Danielle Brooks or Emily Blunt, I would say would be the rival, but it's going to go to Divine Joy Randolph at this point. Best Supporting Actor, Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction. I was very happy to see that. My one critique of American Fiction, though, is that I think his character is underdeveloped. As far as like, I wanted more of him, and I wanted to like kind of have more background story. Like you learn about what happened to him, but I felt like he was a little, not him, but the writing for him was like a little shallow for his character. I could have had like, I don't know, another 15-20 minutes more of just like him and his backstory. Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm not surprised. Rob Downey Jr. He's the one to beat, right? So Not surprised there. Ryan Gosling, Barbie, not surprised. And then Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. I am very pleasantly surprised. Since Mark Ruffalo did not get nominated for a BAFTA, they gave it to Willem Dafoe. And if you've seen Poor Things, this is not a spoiler, but I feel like personally Willem Dafoe is just being great as his normal self as Willem Dafoe and everything he does. And he's not really like a different type of character, where Mark Ruffalo is like a completely different person than he normally is. And I think he was hilarious, and he definitely deserves it, in my opinion. So deserves the nomination. I'm not saying he deserves to win. If I had to choose, it would probably be between Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo. But who knows? I mean, it's a comedic role too. Those are tough to win, at the Oscars. Let's see here. I've got like 2 more minutes till my guest comes, and then so I'm gonna just, if there's anything, I guess we'll pause on the Oscar stuff until my guest joins, and I'm going to get him on momentarily. But let me see here. Let me get this off of the screen. I'll stop sharing. I'll go back to the comments. That's The Color Purple's only nod. Yeah, it's a shame. I think it is just one of those things that came out too late. Have you seen the new movie Poor Things on its own? Yes, I'm obsessed with that movie. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Number 2 favorite of the year, I believe. Highly recommend it. Beginning was good in Naiad, but not Oscar good. Truthfully, Jodie Foster was better. Okay, yeah, and Jodie Foster got the best supporting nomination, so that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's kind of just like, Del, when there's this like movies that are nominated that you just kind of don't care, and it's just kind of like, oh well, it's there. That's the only one really, I feel like, compared to all the other ones. The other ones are just like, it's been such a solid year for film. So I think that's really the issue with that film. It's just kind of snoozy, it's kind of like, we get it. I'm sure it's a great time, but it's not for the Oscars. Haven't seen May December yet, but I've heard great things. And a major name that's been considered a snub is Charles Melton. 100%. 100%. And the other nominees from in the category that I just went over, you're right. Okay, so like, let's say Charles Melton should have gotten a nomination. I mean, who would we take out? Would it be Robert De Niro? Would it be Sterling K. Brown? I personally could take Ryan Gosling out and put Charles Melton in. I know that's probably blasphemous to some people. Charles Melton, I think it's kind of a shame. I'm glad he's gotten a lot of recognition though for this role, because the only thing he did before this was like Riverdale. So at least now he's like considered, he's probably going to get so much work just from the buzz alone around him, even though he didn't get nominated. But I agree, he definitely probably deserved a nomination. Naiad seems like a movie, if it wasn't nominated anywhere, would be completely forgotten unless you were a diehard fan of Jodie Foster or Annette Bening. Yes, exactly. And I love Jodie Foster and I love Annette Bening. But my God, like, I wonder what that's a Netflix movie, right? Isn't Naiad a Netflix thing? They didn't. I mean, Maestro got a handful of nominations. I think probably like 5 or 6, maybe 5. I think that was the movie of theirs that they were really pushing. Yeah, because if you think about it, it was May, December, it was Maestro, and Naiad, and I feel like there was one more film that Netflix produced. They were pushing for the Oscars too. But yeah, that's. I don't know. Netflix makes it happen, I guess, a lot of times. So have you guys heard about the whole wrestling deal that they just made? I just saw that earlier today. It's pretty awesome for my wrestling fans. And we were all just talking about the Iron Claw, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to see real quick. I'm going to just message my guest just to make sure he got the link, because I feel like maybe there's an issue there. Dude who loves movies, what's up? Don't forget to roundhouse kick that like button. Thank you. Yes, you too. Cody, are you excited for the Oscars? I would love to know. So I guess I'll share my screen again while I message him, because then at least gives something for people to look at. And I will talk over it, of course. And then we'll break down a few more of the nominations. Okay. So now we've got Best Original Screenplay and Best Adapted Screenplay. Justine Trier, and Arthur Harari. Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers. I'm not going to say they're all their names. I'll just say, Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, Past Lives. So this is, you guys brought up May, December. So this is kind of like, this must be the only nomination it got, I'm assuming. So, I mean, that was a great screenplay. I really do believe that. Past Lives, obviously, love that one. There's not one disappointment here. Maestro's a little bit of a shock that it got Best Original Screenplay. But yeah, I'm pretty much thrilled with these. I feel like I might be missing a couple that would have been nominated, but well, my guest is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this share screen, and then we're going to have him join us, and I'm going to play the little intro video like I always do. And then we'll finish talking about Oscars. We'll get my wonderful guest Ricky's opinion on them as well, as we discuss other things too. So, but for now, I will be. Here we are. I wish this was they don't make it easy all the time to have these loaded. Here we are.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Good. It feels really weird being in this position. I'm usually on the other side, like the camera's pointing at.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one behind the camera, usually with interviews and things like that. It's weird.
Well, we are so happy that you have joined the channel today. You have so many interesting things and interesting perspectives. And so, but I would love for you to maybe give the chat a little bit of an introduction to yourself and kind of tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Ricardo Lorenzo. I'm originally from New Jersey. Went to college with Tracy. Or should I refer to you as Nerdy Film Girl?
No, Tracy's.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not based in New Jersey anymore. I'm currently located in Portland, Maine. I'm a filmmaker based in Portland, Maine. Yeah, I've done a few short films. I'm currently working on a feature here in Portland. We're mostly in the development stage of things and figuring out funding and all that stuff. I've been doing films since like 2010, since we graduated college, which feels so long ago at this point.
Yes, it does. And I'd like to tell everyone in the chat that I did actually recently watch the film of yours, The Super Exciting Gang.
Oh, nice.
I really, really enjoyed it. And
thanks for watching it.
Have you considered turning that into like a full feature?
Funny thing, do you remember Matt Cohen?
Yes.
He wrote the screenplay, so we worked on that movie together. Yeah. So we kind of, the cool thing about college was in college there was like that the whole group that I was in were just like all collaborators and like in stand-up comedy and like all the comedy forms and I was like the filmmaker in the group. So we all kind of like separated. Do you remember Casey? Casey's doing the whole Impractical Jokers thing. I don't know if he's doing that anymore, but I know he's directing and things like that.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah. So, I hadn't reached out to Matt in a long time, so I contacted him in like 2018, 2019 about working on a film together, and we went back and forth with a story, and it was really funny because I think we both have I'm a little suspicious of Lin-Manuel Miranda. The Hamilton has kind of rubs me the wrong way in regards to trying to make hip hop an easy and approachable thing for for white people, and it's a little weird. It's a little weird. It's a little too safe. It's weird. I don't know, but he has a similar disdain. But we kind of were thinking about his group. Like he came from like a group that they were working together in college, and they all kind of formed together. And then there was this one person that was in the group that left before the group became famous. So we were like, let's make a movie about that guy. Let's make a movie about like where that guy is with his life and him trying to approach the situation where they're creating a product and he wants to be a part of it now because he got out of it being like, this isn't going to do anything with my life. And then he sees that his friends that took the stuff that he's created and kind of made something of it. And so we were like, let's try to make that guy's story and see what we can go from there. And then we kind of just developed that story from that idea. And then we we took in, the Hollywood's obsession with Marvel and DC and superhero comics and kind of just like how they're just pummeling it down to the ground. I'm an avid comic book reader. And so it's not fun to see what these studios are doing to these great stories. And it just,
yeah.
just bastardizing everything. So it was really fun. We included that in the story and added a little element to it. I have a comic book creator friend out in Canada. His name is Rotsteak, and he created all the little comic books pages that I interspersed in the movie, which I thought was like really fun to kind of play with too.
It was. That really added so much as well. Yeah, I loved it. It felt like just the whole piece was super creative and super poignant and just really enjoyable to watch. And I really think you could extend it if you ever wanted to turn it into a feature. You never know.
Yeah. Sorry. Whoa, I just realized that that was your first question, and I just went, yeah. Going back to that. I don't know if we're going to turn it into a feature because, I don't know. I haven't really thought of it. I kind of was like sitting on it, and now, we've been working on that movie since 2019, and we got pushed back because of COVID, and then bringing it back. I had casted that movie right before the pandemic hit, and we had to put that on pause, and I lost a few actors because they just went on to different projects. And so we came back to it, and it was just I just wrapped on the movie in like December, like fully finished the movie. Like the completed film was just done in December.
Wow.
Had been sitting on like a rough cut since like 2021 because it was just, or 2021, because it was just like, it just took so long to get the whole process going. And
yeah, well, and I have one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, especially we see especially the comic book films, but a lot of movie budgets are really overblown for no reason, and we both know that they don't need to be that expensive. But how do you find you are able to get funding for your films?
so it's a lot of self-funding, but it's also, I had a friend who is a filmmaker. His name is Eric Pennycoff. He makes like horror movies. One time he told me, like, if you're not able to put your own funding in a movie, then and you don't tell people that you do it, who's going to want to fund your movie if you can't even invest in yourself?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, that's a good point. So basically, kind of utilizing the Indiegogos of the world, things like that, like what do we call those?
Crowdfunding?
Like crowdfunding, yeah. Like taking advantage of crowdfunding helps, and having and utilizing your own network with crowdfunding, like your family and your friends, and because everybody at the end of the day really wants to support you and your art and your craft. So I think like utilizing crowdfunding is very useful, and a lot of saving money and self-funding, and a lot of times it does make sense why these budgets are so high, because I don't know, like there's so many people involved, there's so many people in it, and I don't know, it's tough because like There's actors are getting paid millions of dollars, but I don't think I'm there. I can't argue like what their rate should be or what their salary should be, because in the way that Hollywood works and in the way that these kinds of these kind of industries work, it's like you can be in one day and then nobody wants to work with you the next.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's kind of like in freelancing, you kind of also have to like protect yourself and make sure that you have something to hold on to if you do end up losing those opportunities in the future. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, or like funding and the way that budgets work in movies kind of makes sense to me because I'm in it and I see it. And I'm in a very, very, very small bubble of like, I mean, not a small bubble, but I'm like at the bottom of things where it's just like super small and super tiny. Like I have like a crew of 15 that I always rotate and currently work with. But you kind of all these what you pay them adds up.
It does. And I think like I was very happy to see today that the creator, I don't know if you saw it. I didn't love the script. I thought it kind of fell a little flat for me in a lot of ways, but it was one of the most beautiful like sci-fi films I've seen in a while, and the budget was only 80 million. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like that's the stuff that I mean, you can definitely see if you go back to like basic filmmaking, that's where you can kind of save money on the budget.
Yeah, but you also kind of wonder who's not making anything, who's like when it comes to saving money on a budget, who isn't getting paid, or who is doing something on a lower budget. I don't know. I mean, again, like I don't know the full story of how that budget works, but sometimes I like to imagine like, okay, if this sci-fi movie cost 80 million, while another sci-fi movie cost like more than that, like who is somebody not making something, like what how is it, like are people making less, or is it actually the way that it should be? I don't know, it's hard to tell.
It was in that scenario, it was really just the way it was filmed. It was like all practical stuff, very
Yeah,
minimal CGI. And then when it was CGI, they made sure it was done well and they did pay for that. But like the CGI, I think, is one of the things that really makes the budgets out of control.
yeah, that's interesting because I always thought that when it came to practical versus CGI, studios were trying to save money by going CGI. But I guess with CGI growing the way it is, maybe it's costing more. I don't know. But I don't know, as a filmmaker, I sometimes go back. I mean, I'm so stuck on the past sometimes that I always prefer practical over CGI. But I've seen some incredible CGI lately. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Godzilla, the new Godzilla movie has like some amazing CGI.
yes, no, and that's a fantastic example as well. And I think, and you are right. I think initially when CGI was being utilized, it was cheaper. But we were also you were able to get away with like bad CGI because the tech wasn't there back then. So now though, because we have a much more sophisticated eye, they have to really make it look as realistic as possible, or you get instances like with the Flash and the Marvels and things like that. So I think that they have these crews of people working on all the CGI hours and hours and hours, but it's just you doesn't have to all be in a green screen room. Well,
Yeah, I couldn't ever imagine myself doing that, but it's interesting. I go back and forth because I don't think I would ever want to. I can't. Like at the moment, I don't think I would ever want to work in an environment that's fully green screen. But then, like now that I think about it, as a filmmaker, if you need a specific time of day, if you need like outdoor shots. Like one of the most inconvenient things is every time I make a movie and it has a scene that takes place outside, it always rains. And so and the thing with me and my the way that I work is sometimes I just tell myself just go with whatever, go with don't be such a stickler to what the script says. Like just go with what's going on right now. So if my scene is calling for a daytime shot and it's sunny out, you know what? Like mess with the script and rewrite the script or rewrite the scene and have it inside or change it and make it outside. So it's just like it's funny because that's where I think CGI people are like filmmakers are fully taking advantage of CGI, where it's like, well, you know what? Like I can't get the perfect weather, so I'm gonna make it in a studio. I can't get the perfect city look, so I'm gonna make it in a studio. And I think things like that are kind of silly, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wound up seeing the film Dumb Money in February, and it was one of those like secret screenings before, just kind of like a test screening. It was a test screening, it wasn't like a test screening. And they were like, it's not finished yet. There's some, you might see some like green screen or on phones or TVs and stuff like that. I was like, that's fine, I don't care. It's very interesting to see the process of this film being made anyway. But it was so interesting to me that there was a scene in a house, and Paul Dano and I'm blanking out on the girl's name, but she's the main lead in that one. They're standing in their house and the door is open, and the door was the outside of the door was green screen. So they weren't actually in a real house, and it wasn't in an actual neighborhood. It was interesting,
Things like that are weird. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been like the filmmaker was wanted a specific type of door, specific type of lighting, specific type of thing. It's insane. I think the thing though, it ends up like adding up on your budget. Going back to the budget talk, is because it you know you're paying for the, I guess, quote unquote convenience. I don't know, the convenience of it,
Yeah.
and so it's just like it's silly, but I don't know. I feel like there are some people who just need the perfect shot and the perfect take, the perfect scenes and the perfect everything, and I'm just like, I don't know. The thing that I love about filmmaking is you think one thing when you're there, it's the complete opposite what you imagine with that it is, and you just have to go with the flow.
Yes, you absolutely have to do that. And this is a great point. Slip to Garcon, budget's Godzilla at 15 mil. Yeah, I think it was like between 10 and 15 million for that movie, which is
That's
wild.
amazing. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm just going to hit the chat briefly, and then I want to ask you, like, kind of, what were some of your favorite films this year? But before we do that, so you can kind of start thinking about that if
Yeah, I have my letterbox pulled up because I'm just like, yeah, I have like
Perfect.
the worst memory.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Holland Oates. Hello, Holland. How are you doing? I don't think I said hi to you before. Thank you so much for stopping by. I think the only movie I've seen that is going around the award season was Barbie. You didn't see Oppenheimer? Because that's the other one that I feel like is the most mainstream movie out of all of them. Or like the Holdovers, those are kind of mainstream. I liked the Holdovers a lot. Let's see. We are all suspicious of Lin-Manuel.
Yes.
That's very funny. The Love Supreme was the name of the group.
Yep.
Yeah. Comic books for life, Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Max, my boyfriend. He's pumped for this one. He watched your film with me too, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna send you the one that I did before, which was one that I wrote and directed, which is An Unlikely Story. Jeanette was in it, actually.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I think I like contributed to the crowdfunding for that, like a small amount.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was great. Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Thanks.
Cool. Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you liked this year?
This year, all right. So I liked Godzilla. I liked Poor Things. I saw Elemental this weekend, which was
Oh,
cute.
how was it? I still haven't seen it.
It was cute.
Yeah. Was it mind-blowing?
Not really mind-blowing. It did a really good job at keeping me entertained and not look at my phone. That's usually how I know if I enjoy a movie, is that if I feel the instinct to have to pick up my phone, I'm like, oh god, okay, I gotta pause this and walk away for a minute. Killers of the Flower Moon. I think my favorite this year was Beau is Afraid.
Loved it.
I really liked Earth Mama, which was really good.
I didn't see that one.
Earth Mama. So I'm gonna give a little shade to A24, just a little bit.
Okay.
So I like A24, but right now I think they're really clinging on to their into, I guess, the movies that they know will sell and will put audiences in the seat. But they have two movies by two black filmmakers, two female black filmmakers that they have not putting any sort of advertising on, no PR on. Earth Mama is one, and I think the other one is called the Dirt Taste of Salt or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the other one, but there's two of them and they're all really good. I mean, they're both very obvious Sundance movies. You know, like Sundance has that very specific feel to it, but they're both beautiful. They both tackle on some really tough, sensitive topics and subjects. They're really good. They're shot really well. They're super artsy. They're very creative and they're beautiful movies. Earth Mama was definitely on one of my top faves this year, and shame on A24 for not putting any PR on Earth Mama or I can't remember the name of the other one. I have to look it up. What else was good? I think those I spent a lot of 2023 catching up on 2022. I'm really bad. Growing up, I was such a film buff, and I still am. I love watching movies, but I was always so caught up. And now it's just a lot of me just catching up or watching old movies. Like, yeah. But Poor Things was really good. Beau is Afraid was really good.
And I loved Beau is Afraid. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been such a surrealistic sensibility to a lot of films that came out this year that I really enjoyed. And just like really risky filmmaking that I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Beau is Afraid was like a good example of what happens when you give a filmmaker full reign, budget and everything. Here, go with it. And you got it. And that first half of that movie, I think I was in the movie theater cracking up, and Jeanette was just like, oh my God, she was so stressed, and I was just laughing so hard from
it. Yeah, it's interesting you both had such different reactions, because that's been a thing with this film. Some people find it hilarious and some people find it so stressful.
Yeah, I think because I have a very dark sense of humor, and I find anything that is like, when you live life with anxiety, it's like the stresses of the world is serious, but then when you see it in a movie and you see someone going through it and you're like in a safe space where it's fake, it's kind of like a horror movie where it's like people are watching horror movies for the sake of to be scared, like I don't get scared anymore from horror movies. I just watch them because of the enjoyment and the craft of just creating something scary. But I don't really become afraid of them because I've been watching them for so long since I was a kid. So like the next step for me is an Ari Aster movie, because his movies end up like grabbing onto a part of me that makes me react.
Yeah.
Like that nothing else has made me react to it. So like, living with anxiety and the way that the world works in that kind of mentality, it can be scary, but when you're seeing it in a movie and you're seeing it like from another lens, or from a different perspective, it's hysterical in that movie. So it's just like, it was just like so much fun for me to watch that movie, because I was just like, oh my God, like, this is like seeing the ailment that I deal with, but times 100, just amping it up to 12. And it was so cool.
Yeah, I was really happy that Joaquin Phoenix got a Golden Globe nomination for that movie. I was surprised, but I was thrilled.
Yeah.
I really feel like if A24 had pushed Beau is Afraid a little bit more, I still think Patti LuPone should have gotten a Best Supporting Actress nomination. But she was awesome. Wild in that movie.
She's so crazy.
Yeah. But again, we were talking about earlier, and we'll get back into the nominations a little bit, but like Iron Claw is also A24, and they really pushed Past Lives as the forefront for A24. And I am obsessed with Past Lives. I love it, but I really, really liked Iron Claw like a lot. And it's so a shame that like it came out just slightly too late where critics and like Academy members couldn't even watch it yet. And so
that's one that I still need to see. They just got it in the theater in Portland. Nice. So I'm gonna go check it out. The other one that I'm gonna see next Friday, my friend just texted me about seeing it. The new Jonathan Glazer movie.
Yes, The Zone of Interest.
Yeah. Zone of Interest. Yeah. So I'm gonna see that next Friday. I'll probably see. Yeah, there's a few. It's funny when you messaged me and asked me if I wanted to be in the show. I was like, yeah, and then I immediately went. I immediately went and just like made a list of movies that I really needed to see before, but I did a really bad job.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
I was afraid
was
and more things. That works for this channel.
yeah. Well, Bo is Afraid was definitely one that I saw before you came up to me, but Poor Things I probably would have waited. But I'm glad I didn't wait. I'm glad I saw that in the movies because that movie was incredible.
I love the score of that movie.
Yeah.
So trippy.
Oh yeah. I'm not a big Oscar person, but I really do hope that movie wins Best Score because that score was good. I think it was nominated.
It was. Now, did you see Oppenheimer?
Mm-hmm. During the whole trend of Barbenheimer, I was there for both.
Yes. Did you do them the same day?
Screening. Yeah, did the double screening. I liked Oppenheimer. I thought it was great. I thought it was. The funny thing is, I think that was Nolan's best movie.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I feel like I love Interstellar and Inception and The Prestige. Obviously The Dark Knight. But I was not the biggest fan of Tenet, and I know it's a very divisive movie. I just felt the sound mixing in that was so bad that you couldn't understand anything.
There's a trend. It's like a low audio mix or a movie that's too dark. There's always these like trends, and it's really strange. I don't know where it starts. I don't know how it works, but I think when Tenet came out, there were a few. I can't remember what movies, but there were a few other movies with a low mix to them that was like pretty funny because you're just like, what, why?
Yeah, and like the not special effects, like oh my god, what is the term for just like noises in a room or something? Yes, like sound effects. Those would be so much louder and like over the people talking, and it's kind of like it's not an artistic way to do that.
Yeah, it was definitely. There's always situations in movies when you have to turn up to hear, and then shit gets too loud, so you have to lower it again. And with Tenet, I remember that like the volume of that movie was making my roommate at the time so frustrated. I was in Philly living with two other people, and they were so frustrated watching that movie because like the sound mix was so bad that they had it like turned up way high to listen, and then an explosion would happen, and everybody would just jump off the couch. Like,
yeah, yeah, I definitely had a similar experience. Dell says, I think the crazy time constraints put on VFX artists might inflate budgets and definitely hurt the overall That's a really good point. It is. Yeah.
I would agree with that for sure.
A shame some movies don't get seen by voters, but it's part of this nutty idea where almost every movie studios think is Oscar worthy is shoved into the last. Oh my God, sorry, I can't read my screen is something's covering that up. Here we are. The last few weeks of the year. Yeah, it's really, I mean, I feel like this is with Barbenheimer, that was like such an odd thing to occur where you had like two huge blockbuster movies come out in the summertime that were both big Oscar contenders.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like, I think I'm trying to think of my like kind of like suspiciousness with the Oscars is it's weird. I don't know. Like I don't really like jive with award shows because I don't know, because I think like for me my big thing is, you know, looking into film festivals and seeing who are like the up and coming filmmakers. It's like my big thing is I'm really interested in indies mostly and like figuring out, you know, who is the filmmaker that is eventually going to be that filmmaker who's nominated for the Oscar, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, for me, that's really like a fun kind of experiment for me because it's really interesting there's so many movies out there in general, just, you know, when you put together so much of these film festivals and you try to figure out what's out there. And you know, a lot of times I go on like, just like smaller indie review sites and kind of check out what kind of movies are coming out from there, you know, check out what movies people are enjoying from Sundance or South by Southwest, or even like smaller festivals. Like we have some festivals around here that I really like to check out. But like, yeah, it's always more fun to me with those things than with the Oscar films. I mean, like I have like a huge appreciation for cinema in general.
Yeah.
There's a podcast that I listen to called What Went Wrong, and
Oh,
it's just
cool.
about like all the classic movies that we grew up to know and love, and just basically all the disasters that went into making the movie before it was actually made. And it's something really interesting about cinema in general. It's just that like how difficult it is, and how much we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. Like there's so many movies that we see that probably don't recognize that they're not either, they're lucky to be made,
Yeah.
even if they have the budget. Like there's other constraints, there's artistic differences between people, and it's just like trying to come up with where these people will get along. And there's also just like any sort of disaster with like post-production that could happen.
Yeah.
So it's always like I grow this, like I have this like this duality where it's like I get really judgmental about movies and get judgmental about award ceremonies and that whole process, but then like I also at the same time recognize how difficult it is to even make a movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I think like if you I will say in the past 5 to 10 years, I feel like this year in particular with the awards are really solid. Like I think that the top 10 I mean I personally wasn't like the biggest fan of Barbie, so that would be my least favorite out of the 10, but I feel like all of them in general aren't they don't feel like filler films. Like I feel like in the past there'd be a couple films here and there in the top 10, and sometimes they wouldn't even get to 10. They'd just be like 8. And there were always a few where you're like, well, that movie's kind of boring, or like that movie's okay, but it's not like Oscar worthy. And I really feel like this year is like there's just such great work being nominated, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah. It's interesting because I had the same kind of opinion towards Barbie as I did towards something like Flaming Hot, where I'm like, it's a commercial,
Yeah.
it's a commercial for a product, and it's not my favorite to see something like that. But also at the same time, Barbie was directed by Greta Gerwig, so like that's an amazing filmmaker to direct a movie,
Yes.
because Barbie could have been anything, by
Yeah.
anybody else. And so it's just like, again, it's back to that duality where it's just like, it's so awesome that Greta Gerwig is working on a big Hollywood film, but it sucks that it's a commercial, because that's the last thing I want to see as a filmmaker is a movie that is just trying to sell me a product.
I think she's doing the Narnia like Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, and I think she signed on to do that before Barbie's success. And it's kind of a shame because she's going to be doing like all 3 films, I think, or something like that. Like it's a series or something that's going to take a long time. And I feel like
Yeah.
if she had the success from Barbie before that, like she literally could make any movie she wants now. You know what I mean? Because she made the $1 billion movie of the summer. So now she's kind of stuck in this contract that she signed prior to making that.
Yeah, I wondered if she. Yeah, I guess Narnia is supposed to be like, well, I guess I'm not getting any work, so I'll just take this movie. Do you think that's what she?
Yeah, exactly.
Really? Oh man. Or she could just be like a huge Narnia stan that we don't know. Like, hell yeah, we're gonna Narnia film. That's dope. Yeah.
Alex Plays says, did y'all watch the Migration movie? If so, what is y'all's opinions? I didn't see it, but it actually looked really cute. It's that Illumination ducks going to New York movie. It came out over the holidays.
Oh no, I haven't seen it, but
Yeah, no,
it's definitely on the
I will at
list.
some point because I thought it actually looked not bad.
Yeah.
The real Chad, hey everyone, sorry I'm late. Well, that is quite all right. Welcome, we're happy to have you. Ricardo, have you done 4DX? Do you still do 3D in theaters?
Haven't done 4DX. Oh wait, I did do 4DX. I think I saw a screening of The Matrix in 4DX.
Oh my
Hamilton. I think that was it. I think so. And that was wild. But 3D, no, I don't do much 3D in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I remember being a kid and like doing the whole IMAX thing and going to see these things in like in Jersey City at the Liberty Science Center.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and that was fun. I mean, IMAX is cool. I don't do much 3D. Yeah.
The 4DX is so funny, and I've never experienced it, but like people say, like if you have snacks, like hold on to them, they're gonna go flying, like because the whole chair moves.
Yeah, I have to look that up. Maybe it was in 4DX for The Matrix, but I remember when I saw The Matrix, it was like in this weird, like, I guess like it was like in this special screening room in this movie theater in Hamilton, and the screen was huge. And I remember the speakers were causing the whole room to vibrate. And I was just like, what is going on right now? My friend was just like, you need to come see this with me because this is going to be an experience. And I don't remember if it was 4DX.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds intense, regardless. I haven't read the Narnia books in so long, so that will be interesting. Maybe we'll see what she does with it. I can't wait for all the knuckle draggers to start complaining that Gerwig's version of Narnia is woke. Yeah.
The woke crew for the Barbie movie was very fun.
Yes.
Like the people calling out all the progressive stances in the Barbie movie. I'm just like, who cares? Like,
it was an exhausting time for YouTube. I'll say that.
I bet. Yeah. Oh, and interesting, going back into the whole idea of just like this weird mob mentality of culture. Did you ever think so when I went to go see Poor Things, this guy that was sitting behind us came out of the theater, and he was talking about that he saw this YouTube reviewer, I can't remember the person's name, that was reviewing Poor Things, and talked about in Poor Things that it struggles because it has this issue where there's a trope that exists in stories where the main character is like a beautiful person that doesn't know, that must be taught. And the guy came out of the theater asking me and my friend, like, what did you think about the movie? And I was like, it was good. And he was talking about how his opinion of it was that, like, he felt that like that it fell into that trope where it's a movie about a beautiful person that needs to be told what to do, or needs to be taught about the world. And I thought it was the opposite.
I think it's completely the opposite. I really do. I think it's fascinating seeing her perspective of the world without having any influence in the beginning, you know? And the choices that she makes are really, really interesting because no one's telling her things that she should be doing or things that she shouldn't be doing. And she's just doing things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like the whole movie is her experiencing these new things, which I thought was really funny because, you know, there's like this, I don't know what the terminology is or what the theories that are being studied, but it's really funny that like the idea of, you know, people reading something and people's reading other people's interpretation and kind of having it already in your mind and then coming into this movie with that idea in your mind. So like, of course, when you walk out of the theater, you're going to think that exact thing because you already walked into that movie with that idea in your head.
Yes, I agreed. And I feel like, you know, there were a lot of people that felt uncomfortable by that film. And I feel like, I think that what works on so many levels is like she has like this baby brain, but it's like she does grow quickly. And I would say that if you took the messaging of Barbie, it's essentially the same message, just like so much more nuanced. It's not like hitting it over the head, like, you know, beating a dead horse, kind of like what Barbie does. It's still the same message, you know?
Yeah. So it was just always so interesting, and I was just like, okay, there's a really good example of why, you know, it's important to see something and then read any sort of criticism afterward.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
figure out your own interpretation.
Yeah, it's so subjective, a lot of these films, and people gravitate towards different things, and people get upset about certain things. Having like these conversations are always, I think, what's great about films in general. You know, if we all agree and we all like saw exactly the same thing and films were just so overly obvious that there wasn't anything to pick apart, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely think that the whether I agree or disagree with the criticism, I think it's important, but I'm slowly noticing that it's important to kind of watch the content before you read the criticism.
Yes,
Yeah, because like I
agree.
don't know, it definitely does influence what you're about to see.
I didn't know I was gonna laugh so much during that film. I thought it was so
I didn't know what to expect either. It was really good.
funny. So I'm gonna pull this up. I know you're not a huge, awards person, but I'm curious. Out of the top 10 here, I'm gonna share the screen real quick. What you're maybe like interested in seeing? I know you are seeing the Zone of Interest soon, so that's really awesome. I really can't wait to see that. Um, and we don't have to go on and on about this, but we kind of just have to briefly talk about it because it did happen today. Um,
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I don't mind. I like talking about it.
Yeah, cool. So for Best Picture, out of these, you can just any thoughts that you have.
I definitely want to see. I still need to see American Fiction.
You're gonna love it.
Uh, yeah, I really want to see it. Anatomy of a Fall. I'm gonna be honest. I turned it off halfway through when I found out it was a courtroom drama. I was like, these aren't my
Oh,
thing. But
yeah.
like the movie was good, but I think like I'm just not into courtroom dramas. Like the beginning of the
Okay.
movie was like really cool. I was like it like grasped my attention when it kind of started off in this almost like this true crime like documentary style. Like the woman's being interviewed, and then like they like start showing the photographs, like the still images, and they're cutting to different still images, and I thought that was like really cool. And I was like, oh, the movie is like this. This is gonna be fun. Like kind of tackling the idea of like society's obsessions with true crime, but then also mixing it with this crime that happened, which I was like really interested in. But then it just delved into like uh what the heck, I just lost my train. It just delved into like this courtroom drama that I was just like, okay, this is not my thing. I didn't know it was going to be that.
Right. Well, I'm curious if you got up. There's one scene in the courtroom that I think is like, I would say like the definitive part of the film, and it's when this is no spoilers for anyone really, but they listen to an argument that the husband and wife had, and then they show it, and I think I loved that choice.
Yeah, that was a really good edit. I thought that was a cool that was interesting. I thought it was a really interesting way of approaching that kind of situation where you're so used to hearing it, and
Yeah.
typically when you hear it you kind of imagine the scenario in your own head, but he was just like, here's how it went down and here's the visuals, and
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. I thought the acting was incredible in that movie, specifically that scene was so
Yeah.
intense. It was
Yeah.
such a tense scene that I was just like, okay, cool. Like
Yeah.
this is good acting, but like again, we're cut back to the courtroom, and I'm just like, oh god, this is the whole movie.
I'm not going to tell anyone in the chat if you haven't seen it, but I'm not going to confirm yes or no. But do you know, or do you have an opinion if she was guilty or not guilty?
That's a good question, because that was like I think the what I learned was like what you're supposed to walk out thinking, or not. You don't get the full answer, you just walk out thinking, I don't know. I mean, like I guess from what I saw up to, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's tough. Like the whole film, they keep providing you information that you're kind of like, oh, maybe she is guilty. Oh no, she's not. Maybe she is. So, I think like there is a very distinct piece of evidence towards the end, that kind of tells you one way or another. But even that, even though it seems like okay, you can get behind this, like you're still not 100% sure. So
Yeah, because I think typically in like in like more realistic true crime courtroom procedures or dramas or stories, I feel like the courtroom always tries to pin the perpetrator of the violence or the culprit of the violence to be the significant other,
mm,
because they typically what they want to do, I feel like in most true crime scenarios, is that they want to get this done as soon as possible. They want to
Right.
get this out and done and finished. So they're going to work their hardest in making sure that whoever they think is guilty is going to be proven guilty. And I think that like the way that they made it seem in scenes, it was like, here's a couple that is dealing with some couple stuff like fighting and animosity and, you know, and I think that the way that they tackled it, at least what I saw up to it, it just seemed like she was being put into it, being thrown at the idea of being guilty just because of these fights that she was having with her husband. At least that's
Right.
where I was up to. That's what I was left at.
Yeah, there's a line that she says that's something along the lines of like telling the court like, well, when couples fight, like most of it's like people just lying and trying to one up each other and just be like hurtful, and it's like it's not
Yeah,
like that's reality, you know.
yeah, and I thought that was like really true. And I mean, like that's one of the reasons when I was like, I don't know if she did it, but I'm curious to know like that would be the scene you bring up. I think I might go back just to see that scene.
Um, cool. So I'll let you continue any other thoughts too of the top 10 here or the best
All
10.
right, Barbie. Saw Barbie. Holdovers. Barbie. Yeah, it's interesting to see Barbie in Best Picture. I think that I would have liked. I'm not surprised to see it in Best Picture because I think if it didn't end up in Best Picture, it would be controversial because I think
Mhm.
to also think of movies in the way of like the capitalistic part of seeing a movie, which is bringing people to the theaters, putting people in the seats, selling tickets,
Mhm.
and that's something that had kind of like stopped uh,
Yeah.
after the lockdown. And I think the Barbie movie brought people back to the movies. It showed that people still want to go to the movies, and people are still interested in it. So I think even though it's like in the sense of like when you think of cinema and you think of movies, is Barbie really Best Picture? I don't know. I mean, like there is some really really cool cinematic moments in the movie. I mean, the movie is
Right.
incredibly made, but like, is it that? I don't know. Again, like I also have that fight with myself that it's a commercial at the end of the day.
Right.
But I think it is important that it is on this list because it brought people back to the movies. It made people fall in love with the movie theaters again. Like, it kind of took the whole what's that movie? The Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, people used to go see that in the movies and dress up and reenact the
Yes.
scenes. So it's just like, it kind of brought the element of being a part of the movie. People came to the movies dressed up. And I don't know if that was like a part of the whole Oppenheimer or Barbenheimer thing, but it was
Right.
really cool just to go to the movies and people were really into it. And, people were dressed up. People were like, people dyed their hair like Ken. It was really cool. So it was really fun to see like the movie theaters actually enjoy it too, where they had like cutout photographs. You can take photos with Barbie or take photos with Ken. It was just like a concert experience, which is like really fun and kind of a nostalgic element of going back to the movies.
Yeah, I think that like even people that super super hate the film, I think everyone's kind of happy that exactly what you said, that people it did bring people back to the theater, and I even saw people dressed up as Oppenheimer, so that was really fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was like this like kind of people doing like business in the front, pleasure in the back, or pleasure in the front, business in the back. And it was like Barbie or Oppenheimer and they would turn. It was really cool. And I like people like mixing up different outfits. Yeah, that made the whole thing fun. Like I think that was I don't know how it started. I don't know if it was something that was started online or if it was something that was on purpose that was done by like PR, but I thought it was really cool and it worked and it was awesome. People were excited.
Absolutely. I'm gonna just click on the chat real quick, and then we'll hear more of your thoughts of the best picture nominations.
Cool.
Got to get the Regal Cinema Unlimited pass. It's heaven. Yeah, that's actually how we see everything because it's so inexpensive compared to paying each time.
Yeah, I have a movie pass, but I don't know if it's worth it.
Oh, because they brought it back. You use it?
Yeah. It's just like I don't really quite understand what's going on yet with it because it's like they give you like a specific amount of points, and then at some point again it adds. They give you more points, and so like I think they start you off with like 35, and then I have like 60 or 70 points. And I'm like, whoa, like within like the third week of the month, I have 70 points. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? I have to use these things. I don't really know how it works, but like it's been useful. I've been seeing it's been getting me into the movie theaters more, at least to watch 1 or 2 movies a month. But it is
That's
weird
awesome.
because I'm just like, where are these points coming from? It's got like a whole strange system to it.
That's a trip. Matt, thank you so much for stopping by. Happy to have you here. Yes, very happy you were able to make a stream. At my local theater, people came dressed up for both Barbie and Oppenheimer. Yeah, absolutely. After seeing the Oscar noms today, fingers crossed that the holdover somehow slips through the middle while everyone is fighting over Barbenheimer, but they'll probably split the vote with Scorsese. I personally think that it's really Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and the whole. Well, it's like Oppenheimer, Poor Things, The Holdovers, and Killers of the Flower Moon right now. Anatomy of a Fall does actually have quite a big shot at winning Best Picture, but I really think it's those 4. As you said, like Barbie's not going to win. I don't. I honestly think that Barbie and Maestro have the least shot to win out of all of them.
Yeah, it might be Killers of the Flower Moon that takes it home, honestly, because it's Scorsese and he's a veteran.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like they're sometimes I don't know. Like that's it. I think Killers of the Flower Moon was compared to The Irishman was way better. It was really good. It held my attention, and I think the Irishman didn't, and it was like almost hard to watch because of how they tried to age De Niro and Pesci, and
yeah.
I don't know what it looked like in the movies, but watching it on Netflix, it did not look good. I was like, he allowed this to happen? Like, how did this come out?
No, I guess, and I actually last week we're talking about the comparison of, I think everyone's doing that, the comparison of Killers of the Flower Moon and The Irishman, and it was the same exact thing. Like Killers of the Flower Moon actually, like, pacing was good and like it kept your attention and it was like well shot, and The Irishman, I think it took me like 3 tries to get through The Irishman in total, and I only did it because I watched everything that's a Best Picture nomination for the Oscars, and man, that was rough. Like that's like a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, of like films that are on the list that are just filler ones, and like we don't have that this year, so that's so good.
Yeah, that's a good point. There isn't really a filler in here. That is a good point. Yeah, because I would like overhear you saying that like so many good movies this year, and I'm like, were there? And then now I see this list, I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. There were a lot of really good movies. Even if I didn't see it or if I didn't like it, the movie had, like, whatever's written about it or whatever I see of it, it looks interesting, it looks good, and there's really cool like progressive things in these movies, which is really awesome to see, and they're all pretty progressive in their own ways, which is really dope. So I'm like really happy to see that.
Yeah,
people might not say the same about Poor Things because of that weird brain thing, but I think it's cool to see. I don't know, it was like I thought it was kind of empowering.
I thought it was to be honest, way more empowering than Barbie was. I really do feel that way. Yeah. And I love how Poor Things ends. We're not going to spoil it to anyone because I think it keeps getting a wider and wider slow release right now. So a lot of people still haven't seen it. But yeah, the ending is really fun, and everything they do with it is just it's fun and poignant and great. And I love the fisheye lens throughout the film. It was so seamlessly.
I think what I really liked about Poor Things was the Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone dynamic. Yeah. That was really cool. And it was really fun to watch it. It felt like watching a really dark slapstick comedy.
Yeah. That whole winking scene. Like she's like winking.
My God. The dinner scene where she's being like very blunt and his reactions to her bluntness. Like when she's talking about how she's going to go punch the baby's annoying her, so she has to go punch it.
Oh my God, I know. So that's what I mean. I love it. It's kind of like the ultimate she can just do whatever she wants type of mentality, and it's fun to watch and unfold.
Yeah.
Anything else on here that you have seen or want to see?
I haven't seen the holdovers. I'm curious about the holdovers. Like my friends are telling me two different things. Yeah, I've gotten like it's really really good, and I have to check it out. And other people being like, it's just it's an average movie. But I like what's his name, Alexander Payne. I like his movies. I think he's awesome. Killers of the Flower Moon, of course. I liked it. It was good. Maestro, I still need to see. But that would probably be at the bottom of my list. I love Bernard Herrmann. I do love the composer, but
Oh, Leonard Bernstein?
Leonard Bernstein, sorry.
No, that's okay.
You know what's really funny? What did I say? Last time I was talking to someone, I mentioned that Maestro was Leonard Cohen. And somebody was like very confused. Oppenheimer was good. Past Lives. I haven't seen Past Lives. I still need to see it. But I have a feeling that Past Lives is going to be. I'm sure it's really really good, but I feel like it's going to give me Worst Person in the World vibes, where it's just a rom-com.
It's
Have you
not.
seen
I
Worst
promise
Person
you,
in the
it's not.
World? Okay.
No, I didn't see The Worst Person in the World, but I promise you, it is like the farthest thing from a rom-com that you could even imagine.
Yeah, I still need to see it, but I saw Worst Person in the World, and I think it was nominated for Best International Picture, I think,
was,
or International
yeah.
Film. And I was really interested because there were a lot of really good reviews coming out about it. And I was just like, oh, it's just like a really unique rom-com. It's just a really artsy rom-com. I'm not really big into rom-coms, but like it's better than watching your generic American rom-com. Zone of Interest.
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
Zone
no,
of
go
Interest.
ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say it's absolutely not, and I've seen people in chats like assuming Past Lives is just like about this like two friends that fall in love and all this stuff, and it could be further from that. And it's such an interesting complex situation in that film, and it's really really well done. The writing is so intimate and personal, and I really think you'll like it. I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm told, and I need to see it. But I'm also fighting this fear of mine that's like, what if it just ends up being this? But yeah.
I'm just gonna hit the chat, and then we're gonna get back to you. We're gonna probably be we're done pretty much talking about the Oscars at this point, but there's a chance they'll pull in 1980s and go with the veteran route, but it seems to be Nolan's time. Yeah, I think Nolan's definitely gonna win Best Director. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's Oppenheimer's gonna win Best Picture, but Nolan's definitely winning. Taylor said I'm on the same page. Yeah, we all felt that one, Dell. Matt says, Poor Things was completely offensive to me. I hate that movie, and I love Emma Stone, but I can't believe she said yes to this film. You know, a lot of people do feel that way, and I personally don't, but you're not the only one, Matt. So, I whenever people say that to me, I don't think that they're wrong. You know, people just don't vibe with it.
But I think the reason why Emma Stone, I feel like, took on the movie, reading about it, did she get a producer credit or something? I think she had a lot more creative freedom in this movie when it comes to acting, and I think that was the reason why she took on the project, because I think for her the idea of, I don't think she, the offensive part of the movie was people being offended by these men coming after this this adult with a child, like nearly a child with a child's brain. But I think what she saw in it was more of like the her having the creative freedom to do whatever she wants with this character who is becoming a human from beginning, who becomes a person from beginning to end. And I think that she probably saw something creative about that. And Yorgos gave her so much freedom in that character that I think that I think from what I've read, I think she was involved in the process of writing, that she got to pretty much give her opinions on what happens with that character. And I think she mostly was interested in the idea of how she can play with this character. And I think that's where she signed on to it. And if you give an actor a lot of creative freedom, I think they're going to take the job if it's with somebody they trust, because she worked with him before too. So I think that there was a trust there. So I think both of them probably didn't really see what could be offensive about the movie, because I don't know. I guess I can kind of see where they see it, but I can also see what could be seen as offensive.
Right. Saltburn was a movie I thought I would hate that one, but I actually liked it. It might be one of my favorites of the year. I actually liked it too. Did you see it?
that's that. Yeah, I saw it. Um, but I didn't like Promising Young Woman either.
Oh,
But
I liked that one.
I think it, the interesting thing about her movies is they have so many things that if you take piece by piece, so many elements in the movie that I really liked, or that I really like in movies. But for some reason, in these movies, they didn't catch. Which is actually, I'm surprised. Did Saltburn make the list at all this year in the Oscars?
It didn't, and it kind of had that Iron Claw thing where it just came out really late. And I mean, there were like a lot of insiders that said, "Oh, like Saltburn's going to get a lot more nominations than people think because there's so much love for it right now." But that just didn't happen, and I think it was timing. So
Yeah, that's one that didn't really, and it has nothing to. I read the negative reviews on it, and it had nothing to do with that. I think people were like pissed off that it wasn't original, that it was just like it was just like what is that book called, or movie with
it reminds me of The Talented Mr. Ripley.
yes, with Jared Leto and Matt Damon, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were talking about that, and I was like, no, that I don't care about that, because I'd prefer a director giving me their own rendition of another story than a movie being remade. I don't like remakes as much.
It reminds me of actually, if you take Talented Mr. Ripley, Parasite, and Cruel Intentions and put them into a blender, and
Those are really good comparisons, because I could totally see that. The 3 great movies too, but I don't know, it just didn't land on for me.
That's
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Past lives will hit you in all fields. Yeah, it's really good. Anything? We're gonna be calling it momentarily here. Is there anything you want to promote coming up? We do have your Instagram and your film production website in the description, and we can add your letterbox too if you'd like too.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, nothing coming up. Like I said, I'm developing a feature right now in Portland. There's nothing coming up for that. I'm playing music again, which is really fun. I'm in a band called Little Oso, which is cool.
Nice.
So I've been mostly focused on music and kind of developing this story that I've been working on. That's my. I don't have much pluggables yet, so.
Well, that's fantastic. It's really been so wonderful to have you on this stream today, and I'm so proud of you and everything you're accomplishing.
Thanks.
And it's fantastic, and I can't wait to see what you create next.
Thanks. It was great chatting with you.
Oh, thank you, and to everyone in the chat, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you all next week.
See ya.